Good evening, everybody. My name is Dave Karger. I am, thank you. I'm a contributor to Today Show and Access Hollywood. Very happy to be here. Hello to everyone here in the room at Screen Actors Guild and everybody who's watching this live on the internet. We're happy to have you. And it's absolutely my pleasure to introduce the two stars of Graves on EPIX, both of whom have 3 Screen Actors Guild nominations. Please welcome Sela Ward and Nick Nolte. Welcome to both of you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Great
Hi,
to see you.
everybody.
Yep. Did you all enjoy the first 2 episodes of the show? Me too. I'm curious to know what your history is, the two of you, with each other. Had you spent any time together before you started filming this? Had you met?
We met, first of all, I got the call to do this show maybe, 4 or 5 days before they were supposed to start shooting. And you know what that could be like, right? So I'm going to read the script, go, oh my God, this is so good. And the character's so good, and it's Nick Nolte. Oh my God. You know, I was really in love with you when I was younger. Oh my God. And Prince of Tides. But anyway, I met Nick on the set the moment I went to work. I went, hi, how are you? I'm Sela, I'm your wife. It was that fast.
All I had to do was look at her. I knew we had the right wife. We had struggled very, very much to cast this. And we just hadn't looked at Sela. So somebody that was really smart decided to bring her on stage, and there she was. I didn't have to say anything to you. You knew it. The minute we looked at each other and started to interact a little bit, it just worked. Wow. So that's great luck.
Well, you've answered one of my next questions, which was what was the rehearsal process like? But it sounds like... How scary is that for both of you to know that, or is it just, you know what, we've been doing this for a while, we're professionals, we'll get it done?
Well, I did a show years ago called Sisters. And I was, if you remember that, and I was so green, oh my goodness. And it was really like going to school for me because it was on for 6 years, and I'd fall on my face one week and be just really bad. And then next week I'd be damn good. And every time I'd open up a script, I'd have something else that I felt was almost impossible for me to act. Like Teddy shooting up Julianne Phillips' character's wedding, the crystal with a shotgun. I'm going, oh my God, how am I going to do that? And every episode, George Clooney being blown up in front of me in a car, my husband, and oh my God, how do you react to that? You know, so by the time I finished that show, I think I had the courage of a lion. I really thought there's nothing you can now give me that I'll be afraid of, because it was trial by fire for 6 years. So when I walked into this set, the most intimidating thing was working with the legendary Nick Nolte, because he is an extraordinary actor, and you are. And as you know, always, this doesn't always happen. You know, sometimes you can just not have good chemistry with that leading guy, and you have to work at it. You know, you have to work to really. That's another layer you have to pretend. And in this case, as Nick was speaking to earlier, I feel so fortunate because you are such a lovely, giving actor. And you make everyone opposite you feel so comfortable and at ease, and you open your arms, and you also would never ever not be there for an off camera. You know, that's the kind of actor he is, and that's his integrity. And so a long-winded way to say that it helps so much that Nick and I enjoy each other and have fun. And I think that's half the battle when you're certainly in a relationship you're playing.
Just to add to that, when I saw Sela, I knew, I've known a lot of relationships in life, but I knew that I didn't want to have a marriage that I had ever seen before. I wanted to, and looking at Sela, I just saw that we could pull this off, that we could pull off the nobility of relationship without having to compromise it with any kind of flirting, sexuality, downplay, criticism, anger, or all the stuff that goes with the relationships. We could play an archetype nobility that was very rare, and that I discussed it with her just a little bit to see if we could explore that way of going. And it kind of helps us define how to play these moments that would be very difficult in real life. Like there's only very few people who could be president or the first lady, you know, and it's got to affect the family. Man, this is a family show. They don't know it yet, but it is. Because one joke themes are boring, you know. You need many characters and you need many interesting people. And that's what I pitched to Sela right away, was that she's got to be not only the husband-wife thing, but she also has to be a person. And who does she want to be? And she's told me she wants to run for Senate. So I've said, okay. And I'll back her up all the way. So that's where we're at.
We've all seen the first two, but there's 8 more. And you guys do have some great scenes together in the first 2 episodes, but for a large part of those 2 episodes, you're separate. So can the audience look forward to some fun stuff, more fun stuff with the 2 of you together as the season goes on? I would imagine yes.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, there's a lot of us together, and a lot of fun stuff also. I love the scenes with your young muse, Callie's character. I'm forgetting the character name.
Sam?
Too much stuff, too fast. Yeah, Sammy. Those are delightful scenes, you know, and I love the juxtaposition between the 2 characters. It's a family drama. It's about the most, and dramedy, because it's about the most dysfunctional family. So the comedy is really the polarization of the tender, real, truthful, actually very serious, poignant moments, and then this farcical insanity that you'll see starting in the 3rd episode and that you just hold on to your seat. It's very funny.
Nick, the creator of the show, Joshua Michael Stern, says that he wrote the role of Graves with you in mind, wrote it for you. Has that happened many times in your career, that you found out that something was specifically written for you?
Not really.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was always very ambitious to do literary pieces like Canary Row, so John Steinbeck wrote that. But in this case, Josh and Greg Shapiro, my partner since he was 21, he started the idea, fed it to Josh, and Josh molded around. We had done one of Josh's films, and all Greg said to me was, "Will you do television?" And I said, "Sure, I'll do television if it's good." And he said, "How about President of the United States, ex-president?" And I started to laugh, because I thought that was the most absurd thing I'd ever heard, to ask me, I would screw the country up in a second, Trump's bad enough, but I think it was my third wife reminded me I had an argument with Trump in the park, and it was who had the best hair. It's a true story. I didn't remember this till my third wife reminded me that he was feeling your hair, and he said, "It's too baby fine." And I was going, "Coarse red." And he was just married to Marlon Maples. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. But yes, I've always believed in mentorship, and I was mentored greatly in the theater before I got into film, and then film when I got here, and people like Robert Shaw and different actors were important to me, and actresses like Katie Hepburn, who stuck with me long after she would have left me drunk in the gutter, as she said. She says, Spencer drinks, but not every day in every gutter. It was just because I was late the very first day. And it's a long story. Katie would say, he's lying again. But I forgot the question.
But the beauty is that before you talked about any of that other stuff, you answered the question, so you're good. Sela, do you have a Hillary Clinton story you'd like to share?
We didn't compare hair. No, I didn't. No, I've never met her.
Oh, shoot. So here, this fits right in with a question from the audience. This is from Dakota Sky. Where's Dakota? Hi. Oh, okay, hi. I just thought you'd be a woman, but you're a man. I guess it could go either way, Dakota. So Dakota, Mr. Sky wants to know, in preparation for this role, Nick, did you draw any inspiration from real people or events?
Well, that's a hard question because I'm awfully old. So I can go back to the years when we booed Harry Truman in the theaters during the serials, Lone Ranger and such. But, or Tarzan or whatever it was we were watching. I looked at all the presidents, and I looked at the former SAG president, Ronald Reagan, who was an all right film actor, I suppose, in certain ways. And they called him the great communicator. And I just think that politicians had to learn where the camera was and how to look at the camera and not blink a lot or shake, So he did inform the American public that way. But really, there's been one president that has given me the great inspiration to create this, and because I'd never have this chance in my life, would be inspired by Barack Obama, because I could be black for the first time in my life. And that's my answer to that.
My understanding is that there's also some LBJ in there?
Well, of course, you got to have both sides of the controversy. LBJ would have been the, civil rights and getting that signed. And, of course, he had to invent that. He didn't invent it. He inherited the Vietnam War, which was real critical in my upbringing, I didn't go to the war. I sold draft cards. So they put me on probation for the duration of the war, which was the best thing they could have done for me, and probably for anybody else that was around me, I wouldn't have known what to do.
Sela, we see in the first two episodes particularly your character exhibiting grace under pressure, and I think that you can bring that across so well. Do you feel like that's a skill you've worked on and honed in years of working in this business? Because you have to be put in
That would be
situations.
called being an actor.
Right.
Grace under pressure.
Exactly.
Right. I grew up in the South, in the very provincial world, where I went to Sears Charm School, and manners are everything, and the way you present yourself, that sort of thing. So I was kind of groomed for this role early on, and you grow up really young in that kind of culture. So it's just in your bones,
For each of you, what would you say is your favorite thing about shooting in New Mexico, which has become a hotspot of television production lately, I feel like? What do you each like about it?
Santa Fe. Santa Fe's really, really a cool place.
Yeah, it's the indigenous tribes and the mixture of the culture. And listen, you can really get some cheap false teeth there. And some really good ones. Because I didn't realize this. I got my teeth in Beverly Hills. And I was looking a little bit like Gary Busey, And I kept seeing the sign, get your false teeth here, get your false teeth here. We make the greatest false teeth in the world. And it's true. I went in and they had this lab of doctors, and they looked and said, where'd you get your teeth, man? I said, in Beverly Hills. They said, well, they messed those up. How much did they cost you? I said, about $50,000. He said, we'll charge you $1,000 and give you 10 sets of them, and they'll be a hell of a lot better. And I realized they do have the best dentists there that do make the best false teeth, because the poorest people are there that can only afford to have false teeth. Beverly Hills, nobody has false teeth. They have these permanent implants, which don't feel like teeth at all because they're dead, but they're made out of white gold. I guess that's all you can say about it.
Okay, so now I can tell this since he's told all of you. I meet him meet you the first day. Remember, the first thing you said to me is, look, I'm very self-conscious about my teeth. I said, what's wrong with your teeth? He said, I don't have them anymore. And I was going to get dental implants in, but then they picked up the show. So I have these false teeth, and we start shooting the scene, and he'd go, and they'd start falling down. And he was talking, and he'd go, God damn it, where's the glue? And somebody come running over with glue. And that was my introduction to Nick.
It's funny, when I'm sitting at home typing these questions, I'm imagining what the answer could be. What do you love about New Mexico? Not the answer I was expecting. But I love it. Can you guys speak to what it's like to page through the scripts to this show for the first time? I mean, because there's so much stuff that happens even in the first two where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. What's it like to read through and see what your characters are going to do?
For me, it's so much fun. I'm ready for anything, I told you. But it's really great because I think you'd agree, it's really smart writing and clever. Whoa. And that makes it easy for us as actors, certainly.
Yeah, it's still that same old typical job, but when you get these gems to work with, it's great to have, because you got something in your back pocket for sure. But I know Josh and I know Greg, and I know those guys will push, because I trained them since they were 21. And I told them, you guys as producers, you got to go out, you got to find the material, and then you got to get a writer to write it and make it and get it in your vision, and then you got to stick around and see it executed by the actors. And that's your real responsibility, where most of the time they want these TV producers to move on to the next idea. But it's really important that the actor has that commandeer in the sky that sits over him and says, you did give it all, you didn't give it all, give it more, try this, do this, And we have that on this show. They're young, but we have it. And, even if they were old, it doesn't make any young or old. They either know it or they don't know it. And we'll see about second season. I always felt we've got to spread the show out. It just can't be about one guy. That's one gag for a season. Now we got Sela's got to run for Senate, and I'll fuck it up for sure, And there'll be my assistant Skylar, who's brilliant, and our children both are brilliant. My daughter's a comedian and a half, and then a bunch, hilarious.
He's so talented.
And our son he'll figure it out, whatever it is. And there's a bunch of Indians, and I've really been lobbying to have moved a little bit of the tribe onto the property, but so far I haven't been able to get them to bite, but I think I need my little away from home, where the wife could find me around the campfire with a peace pipe,
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to know if you knew what you're talking about. You're talking about what you want them to write.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Not what we can look
These
forward
are,
to. I see.
your ideas of what you want to write.
like this. Well, you
I
have
love
that.
that idea. The Indians coming on the reservation.
We have some EPIX people in the audience, so that might be happening in season 2.
We have the whole Hispanic community coming to the ranch.
Yes, we saw that.
Did you see that? That
Yes.
was in the team. That
And
was
what's
fun.
also fun is that you have all of these real life people doing the cameos, whether it's Bill Richardson or Rudy Giuliani or Joan London. Was there someone who comes on season 1, a non-professional actor, who impressed you the most?
Yeah, that's a tough question.
Jillian Michaels.
Oh, you mean real people?
Yeah.
Oh, all of them. You take Rudy Giuliani. There's not a skip a beat in that guy. He's not like he is on TV. He always is going to talk the truth of what he believes, and that's the way he is. But he's a laugh. I mean, you just spend most of the time cracking up on the jokes that he'll pull or say or do. And Barney Frank, I mean, that's right out of Barney's life, that episode, And I said to Josh and Greg, I said, we're going to do this gay marriage thing. Supreme Court hasn't passed that yet, guys. Are we going to write it pro or con? They had already written it that, I had to go to a gay marriage, and then I had an anxiety attack, and my wife had to take care of me. So, and that's...
It's all in the show. Right. It's all in the show. Just in case you're lost, we're all in the show.
And the judges just followed right along and did their thing and said, gay married, gay guys, they can be married. So we can all be married, It's America, I guess.
I like that the show is prescient in that way. That's good. Sela, have you ever dropped more F-bombs in a role than you do as this character? I don't think you have.
No, and I continued to every time I talked to my husband on the phone, and he'd go, Sela, what's gotten into you? I went, well, I'm sorry, but I have to say this at least 4 times a scene. The most fun I've had in a long time, actually.
I love it. I have more questions from the audience. This is from Nick Bender. Where are you, Nick? Hi. Nick wants to know from both of you guys, I like this question. If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice when you were starting out as an actor, what would it be?
Well, stick in it. Stick in it. No matter how it gets, stick in it. It's who's at the end, you know, on every situation, every line. I mean, look at Jack. Jack, he got in town and he stuck in it. He went through B pictures. He wasn't really very good until came along with that and Henry Fonda's son. Yeah, he's a writer. That's right. It's too many joints back. But that was his breakthrough, and Rip Torn claims Jack stole his career because Rip was supposed to play that role, and he decided, I'm not going to do this dumb stuff, and Jack jumped in and did it, and off they go. Ripper to this day is going, you know. But that's the great thing about Rip. You know, he's really Rip.
But what would you have done differently if you were to? Well, that was a question.
I did.
Right?
What advice would he give?
What advice would
stick it out? I like that advice. Stick it out.
Yeah.
Did you ever come close to giving up? Is that why your advice to yourself?
No. But I didn't do film. I did theater. I did just play after play after play after play until so many years that I ended up in a chair and my mother saying, well, are you going to... I had a chance to go to L.A. in a play, William Inge play, and I was kind of deciding whether to do it or not. Not really, but kind of pretending. And my mother said, are you gonna just go this way, you know, sitting under your castor bean trees and taking it easy, you know, or are you gonna get on the... And I said, I don't know yet. Of course, I got on the play, did the William Inge play, and then another Inge play, and then a TV show, and then a bunch of TV shows, and then Rich Man, Poor Man, boom. And that's it takes off.
What's your advice to Sela just starting out?
You know, I started late. I started at 27, and I'd only had classes for a year. I really had nowhere to go but up. I had a lot to learn. I think I was put into situations so early, quickly, that I didn't know how to handle. Very powerful producers. If I had read for a director and the director wanted me for the part and flew me to London for a humongous film to do a screen test, only doing the screen test because the producer wants me to do the screen test, but then the producer wants me to go to his house and read for him, right? And so I went by there, and then he said, well, to meet him, and then he wants me to come back and read for him, and it was like in the early evening, you know. Well, if I had understood as a young woman how to handle those situations, I didn't go back, and it really cost me. I didn't play that game, and it cost me a life-changing, career-changing role. I don't regret that. I regret that I didn't really know how to handle powerful men in the industry. And it's a very difficult thing to navigate, and I wish as women we could help other women early on. That's what I learned.
That's a good point. I mean, you know, that's more common to the experience of the actor that comes to L.A. See, what I did is I just never wanted to be in that situation. So I just kept on working. I ended up doing Little Theater, Rocky's Old Log Theater, and just doing play after play after play after play until everybody died. I just wore them out. I forgot who I was, see.
Well, that leads into very nicely a question from Patricia Crow. Hi, Patricia. Patricia says, how did a boy from Nebraska get his start in Hollywood?
Well, yeah, kind of. Yeah, I'm from Nebraska, really. I'm from Iowa, and I went to Nebraska late, and then they kicked me out. So then I went via Mexico, and I ended up in L.A. How did I go there? I was following the football at that time because I realized really early on you don't have to play professional football. You can play football as long as you want. You just send your high school transcripts. I mean, I have a family member that played 8 years of college football and got caught at USC. He finally got good, They checked his background, but I played 4 years of junior college football. I used to have to skip the bus because we were going to go play another team that I had played on. So I couldn't get on that bus, or otherwise the whole school would be ineligible. So the coach wouldn't ever say anything. He'd say, "You missed the bus." I said, "Yeah." And that was that, The end of my football career was cooking a steak for Al. And I had a rented room over in Pasadena. My folks lived in Hollywood. And it was after game, and I'm cooking this big steaks for Al. He's a black end we had. And I'm talking to Al, and I got a whole lot of grease in the pan. And I turned around, and I dropped the steak in the pan, and it went splash. And my face fell off. And I've never seen bigger eyes than Al's. He just bugged out. And I said, I gotta go to the hospital. So I said, he got in my Ford convertible 57 and tried to go to the hospital, and they wouldn't give me any painkillers. So I called my folks up in Hollywood and said, I just burned my face off. Can you get a doctor there? And I was standing up in the car, and Al was driving it, and we were on the Hollywood freeway, and it was winter, so it was cold. And that's the only way I could get out from under the pain. And then I got there, and the doctor gave me some morphine, and then I wanted to go party with Al. And he said, no, you got to go to the hospital. And for 3 weeks, I watched people come in and go, Nick, I'll see you later. They wouldn't look. And I didn't look in a mirror. What they did is they just kept peeling the skin off until finally we got to fresh flesh, I For a long time, I used to be able to slide skin off. It's just parlor trick, One of those freaky things the actor are born with, But that's kind of how I got started.
Oh my God. Again, not the answer I was expecting. But I will say, thank goodness the face underneath the face that burned off looks pretty good. And here's a question I like from Miles. Oh, right here in the front. And I like this question given that you guys have been in this business for decades. How has the industry changed from when you first began your professional career? Has it gotten better in the ways in the answer that you just gave about pressure that young actors feel from powerful male producers? Do you think it's gotten any better?
I'm not so sure. If you think about human nature and power in men and women, okay, in that context, I think it's just part of the fabric of really probably any business. You're always vulnerable. So, but the business to me is, Lord, I came out here in 1983. It is so different. Of course, there were only 3 networks, and movies, the budgets, oh my Lord, all the treatment of actors, the perks, the rewards of success were very great, and on a much larger scale than they are today by any means. Now it's very different, run by corporations. So it's all about the bottom line now.
Yeah, there's some of the old rules apply today, but today I think there's really much more opportunity for actors today. There's many more channels. There's much broader canvas. Back in the old days, you were vying for very few spots, and to have your own voice, you almost had to spin them around and trick them in so many ways. I remember getting North Dallas 40 done. It was simply because I was very hot, and I just said I was going to do North Dallas 40. My agent said you couldn't do it. My manager said you couldn't do it. I said, well, it's going to take me 8 months to write it with a writer. And I got a friend, Hal Hauser, and 8 months later, Mike Eisner called me, and he had just been put as the head of Paramount. One of the heads, Barry Diller and Bobby Evans. And Mike called me and said, what's this about North Dallas 40? And I said, I'd be right in, Mike, with the script, and I'll pitch it to you. Now, I knew him from ABC, when ABC was doing Rich Man, Poor Man. That jumped ABC above NBC and CBS. And then they went on to do Roots, if you remember that. And they really did some great novels there. But then they started doing bad novels, and it fell off. And that's kind of the way the business goes. But, it's, I think it is getting better. I think it is getting better for the actress, too. I don't think you have to kind of get isolated like Sela was. I've been in those situations, too, and I just luckily not given a damn, and walked away from them. But usually the actor cares so much. I remember when Jimmy Gammon attacked the big black building. And of course, they immediately arrested him. You can't attack that thing, But he was mad at a casting decision. He started the Met Theater. He was a great actor. He was in SAG.
Let me end with a quickie.
Yeah.
Sela, what is your favorite Nick Nolte performance? I'll begin, and it's Affliction, directed by Paul Schrader.
I still have to say, it doesn't matter whether it was his best performance or not, but Prince of Tides, you were just so yummy. and I don't know, that was pretty sweet, extraordinary.
And Pat Conroy, that's good material.
And my favorite Sela Ward performance is the whole series of Once and Again. I just missed that show and love that show. How would you answer that question, Nick? Your favorite of Sela's?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What if he hadn't seen anything?
Well,
Those were all great chick sort of shows.
He's seen you in Graves.
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen you in Graves, and I see you in real life, too.
I'll let you off the hook on that one, because I was in a lot of chick kind of things.
Because I really don't see anything.
That's okay.
I watch dog shows.
I was damn good in all of them.
Oh my God. I could sit here and talk to you two all night long, but I'm going to let you all have your evening back. Sela Ward and Nick Nolte, thank you so much. And thank you. And watch Graves. Good night.